Think we're alive. Hello, everyone.
Yeah. Hello, Tom. I'm so excited to be here with you. Thanks a lot. Thank you so much,
Oh, thank you
man.
for inviting me.
You made an awesome movie. We in Dragon Keeper. The whole team will be here with us. We are so
Oh,
excited.
great.
We are so grateful with you for
Oh,
this awesome movie.
yeah.
So
Thank you for having me. It means a lot, and I love speaking to people that are already professionals and curious and interested in. Like I like the cross pollination of sharing knowledge and enthusiasm. It's nice.
okay, so I have here some questions of my team. If you allow me, I will ask you. Okay, some things. First of all, is what happened with Irish folklore in you and in Cartoon Saloon people that you are completely in love with this folklore and this mythology. We in Dragon Keeper we are already precisely working with Chinese mythology and we are completely in love. But tell us, please, a little about that universe of Wolfwalkers and the Irish folklore.
Yeah, it was interesting because it just evolved. Our first movie was called The Secret of Kells, the first feature film, and we did a lot of research for that movie into that time period. But the idea came from we wanted to interpret Irish art, and we looked at the Book of Kells, where so much kind of Celtic art comes from, and then we researched the folklore and the kind of history around it. And there was so much. Even then, I had the idea for Song of the Sea before we even began the production of Secret of Kells. And then while we worked on Song of the Sea, we had the idea for Wolfwalkers. But each time we kind of took a shopping trip. I mean, the folklore is so huge. You have to go and pick the parts that you want to use, and you have to think what's relevant for a modern audience or what's interesting for a modern audience. So it's definitely just like our interpretation of the folklore. It's not necessarily the interpretation. There's no Bible, there's no gospel, there's no final version, and these stories can be retold and reimagined by different artists every time. So this is just like our take on it, and another director might come and make the same mythology into a story that has a very different feeling.
Yes, you're completely right. Our technical director, who couldn't come here today, he asked me to ask you that in Wolfwalkers in the movie there are some reference to other fantasy beings like I don't know, dragons, mermaids, giants, bears, witches, and selks, like in Son of the Sea. Are some of these mentioned creatures maybe come in future projects? I mean, we will see more of these creatures in your future. Are some of them now walking free in your mind?
Yeah. Well, what's interesting was what we had in Robyn as a little girl was a little girl from England. And so we like to imagine that she probably has ideas of folklore that we don't see. She has dragons from Wales or these types of stories. So I'm not sure. For me, what I'm interested now is where Irish culture met other cultures. What happened when we went to America and where we went to Australia and the stories of the Aboriginal Dreamtime or the Native American creation myths, and where they are similar to Irish folklore and where we have a lot of commonality. So I'm kind of thinking that the next projects for me will think a bit more broadly. And even now, I mean, I'm not directing it, but the studio is making a series for Apple, which is really mixing up mythology. We have Greek mythology mixed with Irish mythology, mixed with Norse Viking mythology, and it's really exciting to be able to play with a much bigger pantheon of characters.
Sounds amazing, man. Sounds great.
Yeah.
Sounds great.
If we
We
can
are,
manage it.
we are here. Yeah, that's one of my first questions. Are you completely exhausted, right? So
I'm exhausted.
three movies, three nominations. So
Yeah.
you deserve a rest, man. A holidays, a
Yeah.
huge holiday. Are in your plans too? For fandoms, for us, it's not a good news that to have a relaxed Tomm Moore, but we need it. We need. We need you in good health, in good shape.
Yeah, I'm really lucky because the studio is so busy. My business partner Nora Toomey is directing a dragon movie, a movie about a dragon for Netflix, and then Louise Bagnall, who was a younger director in the studio, who was nominated for an Oscar for her short film, is making her feature, which is more based on like folklore from like kind of the Caribbean, like Guadeloupe and stuff. So those movies are busy. And we have the series. So I can step back a little bit right now and just try to be the kind of connective tissue between the projects. And I hope I will have time after the lockdown ends and and I get a vaccination. I want to take some time and travel. Maybe I'll come and visit you in your studio or something. I need to go and
For
travel.
sure, for sure. You're completely invited. You're welcome, man.
Thank you.
You have only to phone us, okay? I have here
Thanks, man.
a lot of my people: David Portales, Elizabeth Carrera, Lucía Castañera, Celia, Eduardo, Pablo, Santiago. They say everybody says hello, says congratulations to you and to whole team. Okay, we are, as I said, we in Dragon Keepers. We are huge fans of Cartoon Saloon,
Oh,
not only
thank you.
the last movie, but all of them. But then one of the billion things that about Wolfwalkers that is completely awesome. One of the, I don't know, zillion things are awesome is the gameplay. I mean, the balance between the story and the visual staging. No, Alvaro, one of our layout artists, want to know how do you work the script until what post do you until what state do you work the script? I mean, do you write the whole story or do you begin to make storyboarding and beatboarding and what are the limits? There's a challenge there between your story and the bonding with the visuals. So tell us
Yeah.
what is
They're
your
very, for me and Ross Stewart, who was my co-director, it was very linked. You know, when we had the idea for the story, we also had the idea for the visuals at the same time. We knew we wanted to play with a lot of things that we hadn't fully explored in the previous movies. So even as we were working with the screenwriter, Will Collins, we were doing a lot of, you know, beat boards and concept art and trying to kind of go between illustrating what we call like mythic moments, like moments we want to see on screen, and working on the script. And sometimes it's tough because you have a moment you really love and there's just no way to keep it as you go through the rewrites. But we do a lot, like we did the animatic several times. We rewrote a lot of the script while in animatic, and we really carefully picked storyboarders that could kind of find ways to stage everything that took full advantage of all the style tricks. Because I think this time was the most integrated between the way that we used, say, the way we drew the characters with what was going on in the story, the way we drew the backgrounds compared to what the meaning was for the characters. So all those ideas go hand in hand with the storyboarding, you know.
Sounds
I think it's the
absolutely
same.
exhausted, as I said. You know,
Yeah,
it's
it's exhausting. I guess it's like that for everyone, though, right? I mean, at
a
some
lot of
point you
work
have to
there.
have. Yeah, but I'm sure you guys work like with concept art and everything at the same time as writing the story because it's such a visual medium. You kind of need to do both at the same time, huh?
Yeah, for sure, for sure. One question, you know, some of them, some of we are 3D people. Are 3D people. Our movies are 3D animated feature. A lot of us love 2D, or even don't distinguish between 2D and 3D. We got love for each technique. Okay, but they want me to ask you about the 3D in your layout in your movie, about the weight of the 3D tools to improve your layout. What about that? What are the limits between the 2D stuff, the 2D work, and the camera? Because your cameras are awesome. Awesome will be a repetitive word in this conversation because
Thank you.
everything is awesome, as they said in the Lego
Yeah.
movie. Everything in
Yeah,
World War
everything is awesome.
everything is awesome. So what about that? What about the 3D tools there?
Um, We didn't used to use so much 3D before Wolfwalkers, but for Wolfwalkers, we wanted to be really like in the head of the character, like really experience the world through their eyes. So we did a first we played with VR, just with Quill, and we made the environments in Quill, and then we moved to Blender. It was easier with Blender, and we just worked to build like a very simple version of the environment, and then we could move the camera through that as a way to plan the shot. But then we printed those frames and used them as a basis for the paper animation. So, like you, like we love the both of the aspects of both mediums. But for us, because the majority of the movie was very hand drawn feeling, we didn't want it to suddenly become like a CG movie just for those scenes. So we kind of used paper and pencil as the final look on screen, but CG to plan it, you know.
Okay, they are asking me here that what is true about the plans that you are going to produce a Spanish short film about the king of the rats? It's something true there?
Never heard about that before. Is
Okay,
that true?
okay,
Exciting.
okay, okay. Some of our members of the team, Esau Dharma, asked it. Okay, Esau, you got the answer. Okay, let's talk about another awesome thing in the movie, which is the characters. Juanjo, our animation supervisor, my assistants in the movie, ask about Godfellow, for example, Robyn's father, who he maintains for a large part of the movie a conservative attitude in his beliefs and even in his insecurities and his acceptance of the system, no matter how unfair or almost without questioning. Okay, but at the right part of the movie, at the right point, he changes when some things are it's impossible to stay. Okay, this for me, this got a lot of symbolism there for sure, but how do you work with this, with the coherence of the character and the link between the rhythm of the movie on the develop of the characters? Because it seems to be. Tell us your secret, man.
Oh,
Seems
I don't have
to
a secret. It's a little bit of reworking and reworking all the time, and a little bit of just the talent of the team and some luck. I don't know. Like the story from the beginning was always in danger of being too much about Robin's dad. It was always more interesting to me and Ross because we're middle-aged men to tell the story of this middle-aged man, you know, and we had to keep bringing the story back to Robin. And so we kind of realized that if Robin is the main arc and she changes the most in a way. He is the one that's the most. No, it's easier for her to change. It's harder for him to change. So the story is kind of her dragging him into changing, and he tries everything not to change. He almost deliberately ignores magic that's happening right in front of him, rather than to risk to change. You know, so it takes the moment to be really extreme before he can make that change. So that was something we kind of reworked, and there was many times in the movie, in the script, that we overdid it with him. So we had to kind of work back a few times to keep him as a secondary character and Robin as the main character, you know, to motivate his change. So it was just an iterative process, I suppose. I hope that answers the question. It's hard to explain
yes.
really
Totally,
short way.
totally. I know that.
Yeah.
I know this hard because characters are always complicated things. But
Yeah.
for example, for me, one miracle in the storytelling of the movie is the amount of things that are there without being there. It's like, for example, when the great Attenborough in his nature documentaries tell us about ecology without saying us,
Yeah.
like so there are a lot of mixing cultures, nature and man, also political things, or I read it in the movie. What
Mhm.
what do you find the clock, between all the things, the keep it subtle when it is to be there.
Yeah. That's a question of tone as well. You have to think about your audience, and you have to think about, you don't want to be preaching or just giving the message too clearly and too earnestly. You kind of have your interpretation, but you need to tell a story that's open for other people to find their own meaning. And that's what I like about folklore and mythology, is that different people will watch it and relate in different ways. And it was as we were working on the movie with an international team that we started to find that there was more connections outside of like Irish history or Irish experience. And we ended up thinking a lot about like the Amazon and the fires in California when we were like making the fires in the forest in Ireland, which at the beginning of the movie we didn't make that connection, but
Yeah.
it started to feel really potent as the production went on, you know. Yeah, it's kind of a challenge to be subtle and at the same time be clear, you know.
Okay, okay, okay. It's then again, it's awesome. Okay, I will stop to say so. I will stop to say so.
Uh,
People on my team, Anna, for example, want to ask how is the balance between the teams, between the different teams, because there is an amount quantity of work there, and a lot of relationship between the layout team, the animation team.
yeah,
So the information
that's
goes
really
and goes
important.
back. And
Yeah,
how
it's
is,
really
for example,
important.
Pablo asked me if people can make suggestions to directors and
Yeah, yeah.
involve in the creative process.
Yeah, it's really important for me to keep that kind of small studio kind of workshop feeling where everybody is kind of working together. It was hard that we had to finish the movie in the pandemic because the whole production was about trying to make everybody feel like a filmmaker and to have everybody have a say. And also, we had a team in France, a team in Luxembourg, and we worked really hard to integrate those teams as well so that they felt really part of the production, whether it was us going there or they coming to Ireland. It was a lot of work on the communication side. And I always think that's really interesting in animation because we all study animation, we all try to become better artists, but there's a whole other skill that you need, which is a kind of emotional intelligence and a kind of way to make the person who's most shy feel confident to give their opinion, and the person who is most ready to give their opinion, you know, okay, we hear you, relax, we're not necessarily, and to balance the different personalities in the team. And the other thing that was really important was that we kept that small studio feeling where one artist might move from storyboard to layout, from layout to animation. And so there was connection between the departments by artists who were working in each department or moving from one department to the other. So although we had supervisors, they were often, for example, the layout posing supervisor was also an awesome animator and he animated some scenes. So he never made something in layout that he didn't feel could be animated well. So there was a really good connection between the artists and the supervisors and the different departments. It's about communication mostly, and mostly about. I really hate meetings. I really prefer to draw, but I really feel like the meetings were so important because we spent a lot of time just connecting. Like sometimes I would go in and go, "Oh, there's so many people in this room. Maybe it's a bit too much." But it was always really good because even if somebody didn't say anything, the fact that the person from compositing was hearing about the decisions that we were making in animation and background, it meant that they didn't just get the stuff and go, "Oh, those guys, they messed it." Like, I didn't want that disease that happens in animation where each department feel that they're the hero that are saving the movie from the previous department. You kind of want everybody to feel that they made the decisions together. And I think we succeeded pretty well. Hopefully we
Yeah,
succeeded.
totally, totally. And I'm
But
glad
that's
to
hard,
hear.
you know.
It is, it
I'm
is, it
sure
is,
you know
it
what
is.
it's like, but like we spend so many years of our life working on these things, and I'm getting older now, and the first movies were really stressful, at least for me. And now I feel like I don't want to make movies with that feeling. You want to, at least if you had a reasonably nice time working together and everybody felt that they were doing their work to the best of their ability, but that they were appreciated and heard, you kind of have already won. Even if the movie doesn't turn out great, at least the time you spent together, everybody was learning from each other rather than feeling kind of isolated and angry about the problems at the production. So that was a big challenge for me, the emotional intelligence part of it. Yeah.
Glad to hear because it's so important and it's one of the hardest part of the work for me too. So they are asked me, Alvaro are asked me about your reference as a cinematographer, your reference and the reference of the studio. Most of them maybe are illustrations on comic book. I know you are a comic book lover.
Mm.
So what is the balance and the weight between illustration references and also live action movies references or
Yeah. I think we look at a lot of animation and comics and illustration more whenever they're really daring, when they're really using the medium. We don't really look to animation that's trying to be like live action, because we try and be as different as possible. So when we look at live action, it's more like German expressionism, from the early 20th century, where they were almost like painting the shadows on the ground and stuff. And
Caligari and that
yeah, yeah,
yeah.
exactly. And then, like, even if you look at, like Seven Samurai and Ivan the Terrible and all those movies from when they were still really experimenting with the medium and really playing with it more like painters and illustrators than like documentary filmmakers. So, like Wes Anderson, still in live action, makes movies that feel like illustrated books. So that kind of a filmmaker. And we had definitely had references, which were really surprising for people because some of the storyboarders would take references from classic action movies like Indiana Jones or something, but that would be more just for the first pass, and then the second pass was always how to find a way to tell it that was special for animation. But most of the references were art, like whether it was woodblock prints from that time period or just like watercolor paintings and things like that. We wanted it to feel more like a picture book than like a movie, if you know what I mean.
Yeah, totally. Manu Nieto, which is a modeler of our company, of our movie, Dragon Keeper, said that you are using, heard that you are using Blender for something, and he wants to know more about grease pencil maybe, or quill, or what tool
Yeah,
precisely?
we tried both and nothing ended up on screen, but it was really interesting for me because I think in the future we could use grease pencil to mix Blender CG models with hand-drawn character animation or something. I'm really curious by that. But so far on Wolfwalkers, it was just in the pre-production or in the reference. Like we would make a previs with grease pencil and Blender for an environment. And then, just as I said, we would just print those frames and draw over them with pencil so that the final look still looked like pencil and paper. But grease pencil is impressive. It's starting to look like not like as organic as hand drawing. So I'm kind of curious. We have to find the right project, but it would be really nice to. I mean, did you see I lost my body? How I lost my
Yes,
body? Yeah,
yes,
that's
it's
impressive for me.
amazing. That's impressive.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
For me, grease pencil allows to blend and to link storyboard with layout for me for as a
Yeah,
3D.
yeah.
So
And
it's
the idea that you could stay in that world, like if we were making a hand drawn movie,
yeah,
you could stay in grease pencil and blender all the way to the end, which is kind of exciting because right now we go from Toon Boom and paper and pencil to Photoshop to TV Paint to Nuke and After Effects. We're moving from software to software, but to stay in one space all the way would be really interesting too.
yeah, could be a unlimited experience. Probably. Lucia Castañeda, one of our producers, our producer assistants, want to ask you. What is the thing that you find more important the factors more important when you choose a story to tell?
It has to have. This is something I've worked with Will Collins now, the screenwriter on Song of the Sea and Wolfwalkers, and something he always talks about is a painful truth. Is this a story that talks about something that kind of hurts to think about, to focus on, something that's personally authentic? And is it a little bit embarrassing to go there? Is it a bit more than your comfort zone? Because we've seen a lot of movies that are only exploring the surface level of an experience, but when you go a bit deeper, then it lasts a lot longer, I think, and carries you through the whole production if you're working on something a little bit painful. So for me on Wolfwalkers, we really dug into the fact that sometimes when you're a kid and you have a new friend, but that friend is kind of an outsider, sometimes you push them away, kind of for themselves, but also for yourself to stay kind of safe. And that kind of painful truth in friendship, I think, was the heart of the relationship between
between
Robyn and
Mebh
Maeve.
and yeah.
Yeah, and then the dad and the kid, like what regrets I have as a father when I look back on when my son was growing up, were those moments when I didn't listen to him and I overruled him because I was so sure that I knew what was right. And that is kind of painful truth to explore. So everything else can go away, but those painful truths, I think most humans will respond to, So that's what I look for.
Sounds unbelievable and sounds painful too. I spent my last 6 years. I spent my last 6 years involved in a movie about recover the child that you have inner you, and I lost 6 years of my daughter. 6 years of.
Oh, that's
So
it,
it's,
man. That's
yeah,
it. Yeah.
it's hard. It's hard. Okay. One more question. Let's talk a little bit about animation because time is over, and and yes, I have confessed and I am an animator. And in the film, we can sometimes see pencil sketches as a
Yeah.
part of the finished. This is great, man. This is beautiful. I think I remember that I see in the Sword in the Stone or so of Disney, all
Mm,
Disney movie, and
mm,
it's very special that because it's a this kind of decisions that is awesome. But
yeah.
there's a lot of there in the animation in your movie. For example, we can see that in an animation of a single character, for example, the evil guy, you see that you got different models for
Yeah.
some points
Yeah.
of view, but you
Yeah.
don't you don't notice when you see it's fluid.
Mm,
How
mm.
how how was that? How was that, man? So it's
That was
look like.
something that I was excited to try, and I had the idea for when I was in college, like 20 years ago, because, like you say, I love comic books, and I love the way often, one of the concept artists is one of my favorite comic book artists, Cyril Pedrosa, and he changes how he draws the line. If the character is angry, the lines become angry, and very often in animation, because it's a pipeline, we have to have a very consistent line, and the job of the assistant animator is just to make everything the same. But for this, we wanted to be a bit more experimental and creative, and we asked the artists to think about where was the character in their journey when they drew them. So if Robyn was feeling more kind of wild and free, we drew her really scratchy. Maeve was always with you could see the construction. She was always kind of like a line test. Whereas Lord Protector, most of the movie, he's just like a block, and his lines are really rigid and really clear. So it was more about bringing a little bit of the character's psychology to how we draw them, rather than just drawing them the same every time. And I think that's something that feels a bit more like normal in short movies. But then we saw Into the Spider-Verse, and we saw The Tale of Princess Kaguya, and I'm really happy to see there's more and more features that are playing with how we draw the characters and bringing hand-drawn techniques into CG, like in Spider-Verse.
Totally, it's for me in general. I think that were in your previous movies this approach, this bravery to treat to deal with that. But I think you jump to a new level in this movie. I have here some question. Some Alex is a lead animator in our team that wants me to ask you. How do you imagine the future of the 10 years in the future of animated theater? How do you
Oh,
see?
I think it's getting really exciting because between the streaming services and the amount of talented young directors that are arriving, and the fact that the medium is becoming more and more respected as something that can be for everyone, excuse me, I feel like it's exciting. I'm not sure where we'll be in 10 years, but I feel like everything that's happening is going in the right direction. I feel we're leaving behind a kind of safe formula time where everything had to be Disney to be acceptable. And we're starting to see people trying lots of different techniques, different styles, different types of stories. So I'm excited when I think about it. I hope it continues like this because it's going in a nice direction, at least for my taste.
Nice. Sounds great.
Like my flask. I just got an Oscar flask. I think it's the only thing, the closest I can
Okay.
get to an Oscar.
No. Let's dream about it. Let's dream about it. I love Pixar. God knows I love
Me
Pixar,
too.
but
Yeah, me too.
yeah, but in this case, this year, come on, for me, it's out of the, for me, it's my opinion, but maybe I don't know, it's wishful thinking, but the best of the lucks, man, for you and your team,
Oh yeah.
you make.
Well, the thing for me is that when we first got nominated with Secret of Kells, we were completely the dark horse who came from nowhere. And this time, I think we really felt like competition. I know it's a Soul is a great movie and kind of important movie, but yeah, it really felt like we were a competitor, which is amazing because we're still in our hometown in Ireland and we're still making movies with a small team and everything. So it's amazing that we're seen as a competitor to Pixar. That's a
This is
big
already this is already a
yeah.
victory. This is already a victory. But come on, you can do it. So it's like why not to dream? Okay, but this is amazing, and congratulations for the whole team. Okay, for you and the whole team for that, because this is amazing. Barbara, our lead producer, want me to ask you about the target. You think about the target, about the audience, choosing your projects, on developing your projects, about the target, the audience that is made for. What importance give you to the audience to develop a project? Okay, to
Oh, it's really important. I think that for me anyway, I think it's a privilege to make movies for kids because I think movies make such an impression on kids. Adults kind of don't always pay the same amount of attention as kids, so we always show the rough cut to groups of kids excuse me, to make sure that they enjoy it and they understand it. But we also don't want to limit it and say, "Oh, it's for kids. It just has to be simple." I think kids can appreciate a movie that they can come back to again and again, and they can sense if there's more to it. Like I remember loving E.T. as a kid, and then in a way you could say it's a kid's movie, but when I watch it again as a parent, I feel there's so much in it for an adult as well. And I think those kind of movies that kind of respect the audience are the ones that last the longest, and the ones that are just like kind of cheap entertainment for kids. It's fine and they're fun and everything, but they don't have the same longevity in the audience's mind, I don't think.
For here, someone, my Juanjo, member of my team, want me to ask you if in some version of the script, previous version of the script, the mother of Mebh dies.
Yeah, there was a few. And there was even a version where Bill shot the wolf Robyn. And there was like Robyn had to be saved by Mebh and everything. We had so many versions of it. So there's definitely a version where Mav's mom dies. And yeah, I
You
don't I
save
don't
you save her. You save her. You save
know.
her
It's
in
so
some
many. We
version.
didn't want Yeah, we didn't want too many sad stories. I mean, the movies can be sad and have, but we wanted to end on a positive note. So in the end, nobody dies in the end.
Yes, some friend of mine, Irene Jimenez, which is a journalist that is a friend of mine, and he's joined us with the team of the Dragon Keeper producers crew and Dragon Keeper animation and workers. Irene Jimenez want me to ask you, what do you feel about Spanish animation industry? You told me before we start. You told me something about the good health and your opinion about the Spanish
Yeah.
animation movies. But please tell me what do you think about animators in Spain and animation industry in Spain and products and so.
It's exciting. Some of our best artists are Spanish. I mean, Maria Pareja was our co-art director, and we worked with so many talented people like Jose Agreda, who gave me this print, and so much of our team are Spanish. So it seems to me that the Spanish are very talented because we have so many talented Spanish people working in the studio, and also. We had some trouble to find animators because Spain was busy with Klaus, and we realized that most of the best hand-drawn animators in the world were in Madrid. And so I was happy and jealous that suddenly hand-drawn animators were hard to find, because of the Spanish productions. And then in general, I looked at the work from you guys. I've been looking at work from Spain, and it's so exciting because you've got everything from really indie, interesting stuff like the movie about the labyrinth of the turtles, Brunel and the labyrinth of the turtles, to like really sophisticated CG stuff coming from Ilion and what you guys. So it seems incredible that your country is producing so much talent and so many great projects. But I guess it's not to be. I guess it's to be expected because you said there's such a history of painting and art, and there's such a proud history of art, artists in Spain that it makes sense that they would be so good in animation. But I'm just glad that some of your countrymen want to work in an Irish studio because they're so talented.
Nice. You just said me before this is it's the problem is in our education, and I said to you that it's more like a reaction of our education because we have a rebels between of with our scholar system. It's a pity, but sometimes it's true. And you told me something about it's what's in the water of Spain.
Yeah, that's what I was wondering. Why you're so talented, and I presumed that you had like in France they seem to have really good art education. So I thought, well, maybe in Spain all the kids are just encouraged to be artists, but it's more like a rebellion to be an artist. You said, yeah,
I think so. It's my opinion. Maybe it's not true,
yeah,
but it's
yeah.
my opinion. Okay, guys. Last questions to Tom because I don't want to stall such a director like Tom, tired director like Tom. I don't want to
Tired.
stall him. I don't want to stall him. Yeah, man. 3 movies, three in the, so it's amazing. So okay. Uh, Barbara, our producer, again, tell me something about the budget, okay? What importance, what limitation or what importance it's in the budget in terms of problems? It's a touchy question. Producers are always touching
Mm,
putting
mm,
the finger in
mm.
the eye, but
Oh,
what
it's
about
really
budget?
important. For me, it's really a topic that's interesting because me and Nora are both studio owners. So we're the ones that sign the contract with the bank, and we're the ones that are having to pay the salaries as well. So we have to really be careful with the budget. And I think a lot of what we do is we try to design beautiful solutions. So sometimes producers say, "Oh, you just have to cut the crowd," and we go, "No, no, we can do a crowd. Let us find a way to artfully find a way to do a crowd." So it's about working with the producers because, okay, the budget's like this, but what can we do with this budget that isn't going to kill everybody? So we tried to find like a big part of the style that we became known for was a style that we evolved knowing we didn't have a big budget, and we wanted to say, well, what can we do that will still look beautiful even if we have a very small budget? And now the budgets are getting bigger, so we can do nicer animation, but the real basic style could work with a simple animation. And these kind of things we try and think about, what can we do to make the most of the budget and the schedule without killing the artist. So we don't ask them to be Pixar. We don't have that budget, we don't have that schedule, but we try and find a nice style that we can do with the budget we have. So it's about working with the producers and making them part of the team and trying to avoid that feeling of like, all the artists are arguing with the producers and the producers are arguing with the artists, and it's not really productive in the end. Nobody really wins, so we try to work together.
Glad
Hard
to
though.
hear because the best friend of a director is a producer for sure. So it's
Mm.
glad to hear you say so. They asked me about your beginnings. Okay, they asked me about your beginnings. They asked me about what about your beginnings and your first ideas, and if someone has tell you back in time that your ideas wasn't commercial on or wasn't be potentially filmmaking or
Yeah.
whatever. It's Clara Nogueroles, which is a layout artist of our movie Dragon Keeper, who asked.
I was very lucky in that I was part of a group called Young Irish Filmmakers when I was a teenager. And I kind of understood from that group kind of what the business was. I didn't think that my ideas were commercial. We didn't try to make them commercial. I remember in the early days of the studio, there was a big argument with one of the other founders who left because he wanted to make, more commercial TV shows. But early on, we met Didier Brunner, who was a French co-producer, and he was really encouraging us to do something so different than the mainstream, where everybody else was saying, oh, you have to be popular, you have to look like Disney or whatever. He was saying, no, there's no point, you never win, just do completely your own thing. So getting that kind of encouragement at a young age, in like my early 20s, really helped me a lot, because we kind of made it our mission to look different. And in the long term, that's a good commercial decision, because over time, like now, we build a kind of brand and we're recognized. But at the beginning, it's kind of risky. And so the financiers that wanted us to try and copy Disney or something, in the end, it was better not to go with them and to try and even for a small budget, to try and find a way to do something different. And then you stand out from the crowd over time.
It's glad to hear that the time put everything in his place. So we are out of time. Last question: if you have something here, team, all the team are so grateful with the
Good,
occasion,
thank
and
you. Yeah.
they are saying thank you, Tom, and congratulations, because no, it's true that it's an honor to talk with you and
Oh,
to be able to see the one movie that it's not only a movie, it's a masterpiece. It's a piece of art. So yeah, it's true. Maybe we say so without a director, but in this case, it's true. In this case, it's
thank you
definitely
so
true.
much, guys. Thank you so much. Well, I really appreciate you like having me here, and I'm happy to answer questions. And I really do hope whenever I can get vaccinated, I can come and visit your studio. It would be really an honor to
They
say
are
that.
asked me. They are asked me. Irene are asked me if you miss Annecy Festival. If you miss Annecy
Yeah,
Festival, the festivals as should be, no, the physical festivals.
yeah, I missed them all. Like we had a whole year without the festivals, and we released a movie. And this little room in my house has been the place that I went to Golden Globes, went to festivals, everything from here. So I really look forward to going to the real festivals again. That would be really nice, and meeting people there and discussing and discovering new projects. That's the thing I think I missed the most because of the COVID.
Okay, things will get better for sure. So thank you, Tom. Thank you, the whole team, Cartoon Saloon, and thank you, Ella Media, and the people of Apple TV and Nieves, and all the people who made this possible. Then again, I'm so proud for being here, the occasion, and have the occasion. So thank you, man. Congratulations. You made a really good movie. Okay, you need to rest, man. You need to rest,
I'm
because
gonna take a break.
we need you. We need you in the future adventures of Cartoon Saloon. So please have a
Okay.
rest. Take a break, man.
Thank you. And all of you guys, good luck with your projects and everything. I look forward to seeing
Thank
it.
you. Thank you
All
so
right.
much.
See you.
Everybody says thank you. Okay. So
Okay,
thank
goodbye.
you. Thank you. Bye bye, Tom. Bye bye.